All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Dysfunctional Fitness Podcast. You're joined today by myself, Matthew Hosking, and my good friend and co-host Ben Bodycum. We're recapping Rogue. First things off, I don't know what's more surprising, that Laura took the win, or that we finally got a prediction right on this show. 18 episodes deep, we finally did it, Ben. We finally did it. Big Laura Horvath got the dub. As predicted by us, the smartest analysts in the space, minus every episode we've done up to this point.
Yeah, I know. I think we'll go through it event by event, but she's definitely answered some critics. I think we'll cover also her interview after the final event as well, because I think that was interesting, to say the least. But yeah, a great sort of, she's had a brilliant year when you think about it. Winning the games, winning Rogue, it's not really much more you could ask for. The two major competitions that she's entered, she's won. So, and I think the thing we always forget is her age as well. She's still fairly young within the sport. Like when you think about when she initially came to the, she's 26. Like when she initially came to the games in 2018, she was early 20s, 2021. So she's still got a lot of room to grow, I think. So yeah, it's really exciting to see her and see her win. I think it sets us up for an interesting 2024 season.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was, we'll get to it. That last event was a mixture of stress and hype all packaged into one. And it was, you couldn't have written it really much better. And also the way they had to move indoors, I don't know, it just felt, I don't know, just the tension was, it was good. Very good. All right, we'll get into basically we'll just recap each workout pretty much and just go through, give it all thoughts on them. Do you want to start off the men or the women? I'm not too fussed.
Well, we've just spoken about how Laura won, so I think let's tackle the women
All right.
on that first event.
Cool. All right. So event one was obviously the ruck run that was announced. I think I even said on the last show, there's no way event one will be a run as a surprise event. And then about 12 hours later, they announced it was a run. So there we go. That's the quality of an analyst you get. But yeah, obviously Tia came out and she pretty much smashed it, basically decimated the field. I know like Gabby was sort of behind her, but yeah, Laura Tia literally came out and just demolished everyone. It was close for like the first lap, and then she literally just pulled away, and then it was like, oh, she's actually pretty fit. So yeah, I thought it was gonna be an absolute. After that first event, I thought it was gonna be a runaway for the rest of the competition. I was like, oh, if she's actually got this,
yeah. I think looking back on it, and you can definitely sort of tease this out from how she approached each event was very much she didn't really know what her capacity was across different things. And I think the thing that I said last week is that, hey, I'm a little bit cautious about how she's going to approach particular movements. But at the end of the day, running, like, it's fine. She's still got that capacity. She's always been a really strong, well, not always, but she's recently been a really, really strong runner, and was able to just sort of pace it to perfection. You see after that first mile, she comes in just behind Laura, that is just on her tail the whole way, and then is able to pull away from her for the latter part of the workout. And absolutely dominated. I thought this might be the start of seeing Gabby like push for a podium spot as well, which obviously did happen, but it was a little too much for her across the whole weekend as well. And then obviously with Emily Rolfe sitting in third, like it was fairly standard for her on a run event. I think there was definitely a case of excuse me, the pacing with the ruck, I think was a little bit of an unknown factor for the majority of the athletes, because you didn't know how fast you could go and then hold on to a particular pace. Because I think a lot of them found that you drop the £80 and pick up the £30 and just have the £30, and you'd be like, okay, cool, I can really kick on here. And they'd be like, oh wait, actually no, I can't at all. So I think that was quite an interesting way of phrasing it, in terms of setting it up from Rogue's side as well. The biggest disappointment was the sled bag pull to finish. I don't
Yeah.
like that. Felt like it was completely pointless.
Yeah, it was so pointless. Like, what was the point? It was literally like, what was it, 50 foot, if that, maybe 100 foot.
If that,
Uh,
if that.
and as like there was no change. As if you got to the bag first, you finished. Like if you got to the bag before someone else, you finished across the line before them. Like it was just the end of the race. It literally meant nothing. Um, but yeah, I don't know what the point of that sled drag was. It was just so pointless. They could have. I know the weather was bad, but up the hill would have been better, or just a longer. But yeah, like it was just I don't know what that finish was. It was basically just a waste.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be a little bit more like the Burden Run,
Yeah,
where you've got that, like, you've got a separator to finish, but there was no separation in that at all. I think even if it had been up the hill, which was mooted as a potential sort of suggestion for how they were going to finish, but I think the weather may have impacted that if they were ever going to do it.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
Um,
it just didn't. It wasn't the separator at all, so that was frustrating, to say the least.
yeah, it didn't really add anything to it. Only really, I mean, looking at the leaderboard for that first event, I mean, pretty standard finishes. I feel like for most people, I say the only person that was maybe a bit disappointing, I would say, would be Emma Carey. Like taking a 13th on that. I know she's not like the best runner, but just in that field, I don't know. I feel like she just
Mm.
maybe the weight held her back a bit because it is a heavy weight, but they just made it look like the top ladies made it look quite easy. Um,
Well, yeah, 'cause she's got her. I think she's got her split for the first mile. I think that is in brackets on the leaderboard, which is 10:34. You compare that to Tia and Laura at 9:06, 9:07.
yeah,
Right, it's like a
so
huge
that's
gap. And so,
yeah,
what's the gap? Like, and the gap ended up being about 4 minutes, but it was about a minute 30 on that first mile, and that
yeah.
sets the precedent for it from forward. I
Yeah,
mean,
so I don't know
the
if that's
major. Go on.
oh, I was just gonna say I don't know if that's like a result of obviously she's moved to Mayhem. And then I mean it's Mayhem, so I don't know how much running they do compared to other training camps. So
I
um
don't
and also
think,
her
because obviously she's moved. Yeah, she's
I was gonna
moved
say
with her coach. I don't think.
yeah,
I don't think anything's changed.
yeah. Um yeah,
Would
it's a
be
bit
my
random. Like
guess.
she moved to Mayhem with her coach from Brute Strength and like but then she just trains in the corner at Mayhem, it seems like, with her coach watching her. So I didn't really get it. Maybe it's just more culture vibe, because obviously the culture there is a bit different to what Brute is. So maybe that's just more the reason. So, um, yeah,
Yeah. On that note, I was a little bit surprised by RL Owen coming in 15th. You kind of think that's probably a slightly better event for her than it is. Obviously, she was able to sort of climb her way up the leaderboard after that, but yeah, a little bit of a ropey start for her in what you'd expect to be a slightly better overall performance as well.
yeah. I mean, Errol Lowen across all the events, she had quite a yo-yo competition. If you look at her scores,
Yeah.
the majority of them are around the 15 mark, or then the top five. There's like really up and down finishes. Um, I don't
Yeah,
think
which
anyone had
when you
that much
compare
of like a swing each event.
to like how she's viewed at the games, which is just like she doesn't win any events, but she's just really, really consistent within that sort of, you know, 3 to 15 mark at the games, which is good enough at the games. Like obviously that she's not able to, she doesn't have those home runs, which I think really can impact her in a smaller field like Rogue as well.
Yeah. All right. Look at the men for event one. Then we had well, Jeff Adler, reigning games champ, kicked off with a win. I mean, I feel like those who watched it probably felt like Yellow Hoster had pretty much already secured the win about halfway through that event, and then just slowly, Jeff just ticked away, and then yeah, caught him, and then he passed him quite easily. And then there was a bit on the back half of that last lap, I think it was.
Hmm.
You see Andre Houdet like shouting at Yellow Hossa, like, "Come on, you can catch him!" And he's just definitely not going to catch him. He's just slowing down. But yeah, Jeff is like his running improvement is crazy. I still remember if you go back and watch the 2020 like Buttery Bros
Yeah.
videos of like behind the scenes of the games, there's a funny bit where um I don't know which event it's after, maybe after Happy Star. Um, it might be after the final verb. Anyway, there's lots of running that competition, and
No, it's
there's
the
just
hill run.
it's
I
after
think
hill
it's the
run,
hill
and
run.
but he's
Yeah.
just basically just no, it's not. No, I'm talking
Yeah.
about the bit. He just puts like, oh, I need to work on my running, but he says it like just so funny. Um, and it's like, well, it's 3 years later, and he clearly has. But yeah, yeah, very
Yeah.
impressive from him.
No, it's
Um,
like it's the fact how effortless it looks for him. That's what's
yeah,
really like he never looks strained. He's always running at like within his threshold and still winning. I think he's just got the pacing of running workouts down to a T, and he's just able to he knows what his paces are.
yeah,
And I think the vibe that I get is obviously he hasn't been working on his strength that much, if at all. And so he's then able to just say like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna run 3 or 4 times a week.
yeah.
And that's
He does.
and that's the sort of end outcome of it, right?
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't need to. Like he proved, he's the only one that won, I think, 2 events this whole competition, and that was the
Mm.
run, and then he won the clean event and the final. And those are almost two opposite ends. Obviously, the deadlift you would argue is like the most opposite end compared to the run, but to win the clean one, and that's probably more important
Mm.
in terms of when it comes to CrossFit, being able to cycle heavier loads for reps is a more important skill than just a pure 1 rep max. So to win both of those,
Yeah.
again, and there's a reason why he's the best. Well, he won the games this year. Well, okay, barring a Roman injury, but like that's the reason why he's so fit is because he's basically covered the two of the most important aspects you could argue of CrossFit. Plus, obviously, he's got decent gymnastics. Yeah, running capacity and then moving heavy loads for reps over and over again. But yeah, very impressive. Any
Mm.
notables
Yeah.
from that? Any like disappointments in that first event?
I think it had sort of set. Excuse me. Um, I think we were expecting. Uh, I think the narrative going in. Obviously, we spoke about Pat, but I think that the sort of general narrative going in was about Adler versus Krenikov. That's what everyone was talking about. That's what everyone was like focused on. And after this first event, everyone was like, "Yes, okay, cool. We've got Adler versus Krenikov. Let's go. Let's go and see what's happened." But they seemed very very pally pally. I don't know why I need to say very very pally pally, but here we are. They seemed they seemed very friendly with each other. You know, fist bumping each other, like having a chat with each other. And after the drama of Adler, like learning Russian to allegedly get into Roman's head and all that stuff. I think it was a little bit of a damp squib of like, maybe we don't have the heel that we're looking for, or the sort of rivalry that we'd want to see in a Fraser Froning style rivalry that never really materialized. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that was the major sort of thing of like, okay, maybe we don't have this sort of animosity that's going to drive these guys forward to do well. I mean, which is obviously a little bit frustrating from a fan standpoint. But we'll come on to other frustrating things from a fan standpoint after this.
But yeah, I think apart from the lack of beef in the CrossFit space, the only disappointing thing I would say maybe like Dan and Pepper, like a 16th. That's a really poor finish. I know he's not like the best runner, but for a guy who's obviously his main goal is to basically win the games, like I don't know, he's like 16th in a running event, and he's a strong guy. So with the ruck, you'd think he'll neutralize people a bit. And yeah, that's just poor finish.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Vellner started out strong with a classic bottom half finish, but that's the way he goes. Lures you in, he makes
I
you think
think
he's
that's the
lost
thing.
it, and then lovely little
Yeah.
climb back.
Yeah, that was just poor, really, wasn't it? I
Actually,
mean, it
biggest shout
wasn't it
out.
wasn't Victor.
Yeah, I can say the biggest Victor Hoffer still coming last when Janikowski's hit the deck with a rolled ankle.
Oh dear.
uh,
Oh dear.
um, yeah, we'll get Victor
And we
Hoffer
all
had
thought
some.
this was going to be his. Yeah, we all thought this was going to be the future King of Europe's coming out party, but clearly, clearly.
I'm pretty sure you messaged me a few weeks ago saying 2024 Games Champ after watching a 2-minute hype reel.
No, that was after seeing his Echo Bike numbers. That was an insane one, right?
Yeah, that's
But
if
yeah,
no one's seen it, he put up some workout. It was like 30 rounds, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, and it was holding things like 14 to 16 cows every 30 seconds for 30 rounds, which is pretty mad. But yeah, didn't
well,
help with
obviously
his
we
running.
all know that. Yeah, we all know that static machine work does not carry over to general fitness with his with his 20th on the run.
You can also apply that to other personalities in the CrossFit space.
Oh, savage.
All right, we'll go to event 2. So event 2 was the log bar muscle up workout with the back squats. Should we stay on the men? I've just got that leaderboard up still. Then we'll go back to the ladies.
Yeah, yeah.
So for the men, we had Ricky Garrard take the win. A few people's picks to win this whole competition overall, which I mean is a bit ludicrous, but Vellner, good finish, second place, start of his comeback as usual. And then third, we had Bailey Martin, which was a bit of a random one. Pretty much his best finish in the whole competition by a mile. Everything else was outside, was 10th or worse. So yeah, a bit of a random, well, third place for him. But yeah, I don't know what you thought about the event. I thought of the events that were like, like a straight through race, like a Metcon, like just continuous work. It's probably the most boring one. I thought like it was just basically just a log
Yeah,
bar muscle
because
up workout. I don't really think that the backs.
yeah,
Obviously, some people struggle with the back squats more, and they might move it, let's say 5 seconds slower than someone else. So obviously, you can make up time on it, but relative to the time it takes to do a set of 20 log bar muscle ups, it's like nothing. So
mm.
I don't know. I think they could have just done 50 log bar muscle ups for time, and it would have pretty much the
Yeah,
leaderboard
I
would
think
probably
it was.
shaken out very similar. Yeah.
Yeah, no, agreed entirely. I think it was throughout my sort of impressions throughout the whole of this weekend is that it was just like yes, it may have been a good test of fitness. Was it a good spectacle? And I'm like, nah, probably not. Yes, it's cool to see people do a bar muscle up on a log, but given the impact on the athletes after this as well, I don't think it was a one that was necessarily the best placing. You saw everyone's hands completely torn up after this, and we'll come on to event 3 after as well. But yeah, everyone's hands were just in absolute pieces after this, which kind of ruins the spectacle a little bit. And I think to touch on Bailey Martin, like it looked like he was like he had his knee strapped up for the majority. Looked like he had loads of tape on his hands as well. So I think he was one of the guys who was impacted by this workout. And it just sort of like from me like took away a little bit from the spectacle of it. And you had some like this workout in particular, like you look at the correlation between first through seventh on this workout. There's only 2 of the guys actually ended up in the top 10, and they were the guys who finished first and second in this event. So it's not even a workout that's got a really strong correlation to overall finishing placement, right? So yeah, I didn't. Yes, it's a cool thing to have. It's something different. It's cool to see how athletes adapt, but does it take away somewhat from everything else that athletes are then trying to do throughout the rest of the weekend? And we'll talk about events that change because of weather, etc. But it would have had an even bigger impact on those because everyone's hands are just in absolute bits, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And then also like, well, I mean, look at the bottom of the leaderboard. Jason Hopper, 19th. My guy hates the log bar muscle up. Pretty sure he came like 19th or 18th last year as well when they had it. So I just, yeah, don't know. But well, I mean, you had a few of the big names at the bottom there. You had Frykowski in 15th. You had Pepper in 16th, and they all finished top 8 by the end of the weekend. So
Would you
Yeah.
say there's any sort of correlation between height and that?
Mm,
So
don't know.
I'm
Yes
looking.
and
I'm looking
no,
down that
but then you've
list.
got like, but then you've got
Yeah.
people like, well, who's small, like Will Morad, Jay Crouch in like 11th and 12th, they're like mid-table.
Yeah. Did you see Woolmore's hand?
No, but they've completely torn up.
Yeah, like no, just all like just by his wrist, like all
Right.
here was just
Yeah.
red raw, like
But then you've
bad.
got like, yeah, but then you've got like Chandler Smith who took fourth, and I say he's like one of the worst movers in the field. And like, I feel like you need to move all right. I would think you would need to move all right on the log to get over it a bit more efficiently, but clearly not. That guy's just probably like strict muscle upping his way up.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think that's the thing. Like it's just a get the work done. Like yes, I think there's a degree of skill to it, but it's nothing that's like too crazy.
yeah,
I
and I
think I
think
think we ended up seeing a majority of guys drop down to like what twos at the end. Well,
probably,
like those who
yeah,
could.
yeah.
Like the guys at the bottom were all doing singles from like the first round.
Yeah, and well, still weighted towards the muscle up because obviously you got Ricky who
Yeah.
wins. You got Velno come second, so they're obviously very good at muscle ups. And then you got obviously Hoffer in fifth, who obviously is like an ex gymnast and good at muscle ups. So and Noah in sixth. I just don't think the barbell really played much of a factor. Hence why I think you could have done
No.
50 for time and
No.
got a very similar result. So I don't really know what the point of the back squat was, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, we'll look at the ladies. So this is well, Alex Gazan out of nowhere. Don't think anyone was well. I don't know. She's obviously very good at pulling, but I don't think she was going to take a win in this workout.
No.
So fair play to her. And then obviously you had Laura just behind her. Then you had Tia finishing in fifth. So this is when they started basically already just trading places back and forth between Tia and Laura.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean nothing too surprising. I feel like in this workout in terms of like overall finishes. I think it was pretty like I don't know anyone that stood
Yeah.
out that
I
had
think
like
I
a
think for
bad finish.
the nobody had like an overly bad finish. Like maybe like Ariel Lowen again. I'm gonna like she had a 15th and 16th in these two workouts. So this is not a continuation of my vendetta against Ariel Lowen. I'd like to make very clear. Like given the fact that she came third at the games this year, like you kind of expect to do a little bit better. She is on the smaller side, so I think hand size definitely comes into it a little bit here. But I think what was really impressive to watch was how Colin Brander just minimized her rest on this, right? Like the whole thing was okay, right? I need to be metronomic on the bar muscle ups. I'm going every 5 seconds or I'm going every 3 seconds, whatever it is, and that's the pace that I'm holding on to, and just be disciplined with it. And I think that was like a really important sort of distinction. We always talk about, like excuse me, doing 15 bar muscle ups and you do like an 8 and a 7 or whatever. But if you're having to take like a minute and 30 break in between the 8 and the 7, like there's practically no point to doing it. So it's finding a pace and a rhythm that works really well for you and executing that perfectly. And like was that one of her top placements through the whole weekend? Yeah, it was her top placement the whole weekend. So fair play to her. Like she managed it perfectly.
Yeah, I mean the only person that you could look at and be like, who's the biggest name that didn't do great in that event was Daniel Brandon. But obviously, if you know her back squat capacity, it's not too surprising because that's like seems to be one of the movements she really struggles with. So even though she's probably pretty good at the muscle ups bit, the back squat actually was one of the bits that held her back quite a lot in comparison to a lot of people where the back squat wasn't too much of a factor.
I'd
Or saying that
make
you
the
had
argument
a,
at the back.
I can say you have Bethany
God.
Flores who literally just did a scaled workout. Apparently, she like took her weight down to like 60 kg
Yeah.
and just still did the workout, but just did it scaled. I was like, what's going on? Mental.
Yeah, we'll talk about her a little bit later, I think. The I think the back squat. I know you said it was a bar muscle up workout for the men, but I feel like for the women, the back squat played a bigger part of the
Yeah.
whole event, right? Like see someone like Cara Milligan coming in and getting a sixth, like she was able to squat the weight with no issue at all, and so I think that ability like really helped within this event as well.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Event 3. So this was to end day 2. It was the ski erg, the dumbbell shoulder overhead, and the monkey bars. So Killer Cage make a return, first time since 2011. We'll go from the women. So this is where Laura got her first win of the competition. I mean, not too surprising, I'd say. This is pretty much like literally almost a wheelhouse workout for her. Ski, she's obviously a beast on the machines. Shoulder
Yeah.
overhead, she moves external load very well. And then monkey bars, I mean, she's got a climbing background. So
Mm.
yeah, this event was pretty much built for her. So not too surprising to see her win it. And she won it comfortably by like almost 40 seconds. So yeah, uh, easy win pretty much. And then you had Tia in seconds. So I mean, it's Tia. So what else can you say? Pretty standard. And I mean, that's the one notable thing of that performance is that I think everyone I spoke to watched it said she definitely just messed up her like strategy in that event because I think she went out way too slow in the first round. I know I heard she was struggling with the monkey bars, but she also came off the ski really slow. And then you could tell rounds 2 and 3 she picked it up the pace way more. I think it was the last round she passed a few people.
Is
Yeah, to finish in second.
is that is that time in brackets her round time?
Hmm, that would make
I think it
no
must
sense
be.
because there's no way she's made up 2.5 minutes in the next 2 rounds. There's no, I don't know what that time is. It would make sense, but then she's literally halved her
She was
time.
last on everyone else. Yeah.
But that
Let me
pace
have a
makes no
look.
sense because everyone else is 3 minutes to 3:50, and she's six
Yeah.
minutes. There's no way she went 3 minutes slow in the first round. Um,
Yeah, I know. That's what I was
even
confused by.
even the pace she was going, that doesn't make sense. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, I know what you thought of it as an event. I feel they could have done more shoulder overhead with the dumbbell. I think 5 and 5 was a bit um,
Easy.
not a waste, but a bit easy, redundant. I didn't really. There's no separation in it. Everyone was pretty much. The only difference was if you could chuck it straight to your next shoulder and go into the next set, or if you had to put it down, that's where you maybe lost a bit of
Mm.
time. But 5 and 5 isn't for these people. That's not a lot. Like they could have done 10 and 10. I think
No.
would have been maybe a bit of a
Mm.
better challenge. But yeah, any other notable finishes on that one for the ladies?
Um. No, I think it was. Yeah, it wasn't 6 minutes. Her actual time was. She was fairly close. She was in 8th coming out of the first round. Sorry, I actually need to check that. No, I think this is where we start to sort of like. I think the thing with Rogue is that when you have such a smaller field, everyone's in touching distance. Like even if you build up a huge lead, it's very easy to lose that lead. Um, so it was sort of you had a couple of people starting to pull through, starting to um, solidify the sort of positions they were going to be in for the rest of the weekend. Those who were able to secure majority of top 10 finishes, you're probably going to land in a pretty decent spot. And so you see Emma Lawson the 5th, 4th, and the 9th. Like that 9th was obviously a little bit of a, ooh, where's she actually going to end up? But she was able to keep fairly consistent throughout the rest of the weekend, and eventually landed, like obviously landed on the podium at the end, and only had one placing outside the top 10. So I think it was just sort of understanding what those damage limitations are for people. I think not having the killer cage be unbroken, which was the intention as well, did have an impact on how you could attack it as an athlete. Like you could take a couple more risks, you could be a little bit more aggressive. I think it would have been interesting to see people blow up a little bit more and take the risk that they potentially needed to or didn't need to as well.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. All right. Well, for the men, we had Roman take the win on this one, and then we had Fikowski behind him. We had Vellner in third. We had Hopper in fourth. Noah in fifth out of nowhere. BKG in sixth, and we had Yellow Hoster in seventh. So in that top 7, we basically had, I would argue, 4 of the best guys on machines. in that top seven, that being Roman, Fikowski, Hopper, and Hoster. And I've gone back and watched it a few times because I'll just go back and watch all these events afterwards just to see where all the separation is made, like between these elite guys. And the ski pace Roman was going at was ridiculous. He was basically averaging around 27 cows per minute pace across every ski he was doing. So he was coming off in like 130 for a 40 cow ski, which is mental. And he held that like his last round was the slowest, and I was still 140 to do 40 cows.
That's
So
for, for for those of you who need a reference point, that's about 1,600
yeah,
per hour
yeah,
average pace.
very speedy,
If
and
my
that's
maths
just
is right.
consistent. Yeah. So
Uh,
yeah, it's mental. It's absolutely mental.
as somebody who did the somebody who did the Sid Origins qualifier fairly recently and died a death after 30 on 30 off at whatever pace I was holding. Yeah, not I'm in awe of that man and his ability to ski.
Yeah, and then it's not like he's doing that pace coming off, bending over, hands on knees, taking like big breaths for like 20 seconds. He's straight on the dumbbell, straight into the 5 reps. Doesn't even drop the dumbbell, straight to the next shoulder, and then runs over to the monkey bar, straight into the monkey. Like that's the thing. It's not just doing that capacity; it's doing that and just continuously working for the whole basically 9 minutes. So yeah, crazy pace.
Well, do you
crazy
remember
pace.
what was the Echo Bike workout from last year? Was it Echo Bike clean and jerk or Echo Bike and thruster? Echo Bike and clean and jerk, I think.
What, the final? Oh, from last year, Rogue.
Yeah, from last year. Yeah.
Well, it was 2 years ago. I'm pretty sure it was 20 thrusters at like 50 or 30 thrusters or 20 thrusters. And then it was a 20 cow echo bike sprint, 20 thrusters. It was like a proper high power output workout. I think Hopper won that one. But that was like 2 years ago. There was last year was echo bike and DT, which I think Roman won.
That was it.
Because yeah.
It was the interview after that where they were asking him, "Oh, well, how did you decide what pace to hold?" Which was like, "I just went at recovery pace." Just like, but I know my recovery pace is higher than everyone else's. And it was like, oh, okay. this is Roman's world, and we're just living in it when it involves a machine.
Yeah, it's mental.
But yeah, I think Hopper been in that final heat, I would have been interested to see how he was able to push.
Yeah. But yeah,
and I was like, it was a little bit.
I was gonna say, it was just quite a machine biased workout. I feel like obviously you had like Noah sneak in there, so obviously some of the big boys didn't move the dumbbell or the monkey bars as fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the majority, if you just look down the leaderboard, you just got the weaker guys on machines basically near the back end.
Would you not have expected Pepper to do better?
Yeah, I would have. I don't know why he didn't do so good on that one, to be honest with you. But yeah, don't really get it.
Yeah. No.
But yeah. Cool. All right, we'll go into event 4. So event 4 was the ring muscle up, handstand push up, snatch workout. This is the one where Ben said, I wonder if someone does it a minute around. I think the fastest time was like 15 and a half or 16 and a half minutes or something like that. So yeah, pretty close. Only about 32, 35 seconds around.
I'm saying somebody could have done it in a minute around. They would have died, but they could have done it.
Ben, Matt Fraser's not competing anymore. He's not competing anymore.
And I'm sad about that every day.
But yeah, Noah Olsen with the big win on the men's side. The semi-retired man, literally taking a dub against the best in the world. So fair play. Then you had BKG just behind him, which I mean, that's a pretty good finish for him, considering he basically just did 120 reps at his 1 rep max from the games this year in the snatch. So
savage.
And then yeah, obviously Victor Hoffer in third, but that's not too surprising. Like the ex-gymnast doing well in a gymnastics event. Yeah, and Vellner fourth, again, not too surprising. He's ridiculously, for Vellner's body proportions, I know he's got the gymnastics background, but he's just ridiculously good at gymnastics workouts. Like if you watched him move versus Noah, like it was just so outrageous how Noah's handstand push-ups were like half the time of Vellner's. So for Vellner to even keep pace with him for most of it was like impressive enough. But yeah.
I think the big sort of indicator to me is in the first couple of rounds of who was going to do well was whoever came off the ring muscle ups and was able to just go straight into the handstand push ups. Like that was the biggest separator that I think we saw across the whole event. Which for 16 minutes was possibly one of the most boring workouts I've ever watched. If like I'm gonna like it was dull. It was like I love CrossFit, but I was like I'm struggling to find things that are enjoyable to see in this workout because it's like watching people do. You know, I think there was enough separation because you could sort of see where people were going to land. That it wasn't like Mary where people are just going at that pace for the whole of the 20 minutes, and people are vying for different spots and able to hold on to different paces. It was just I just found it very, very dull. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I know what you mean. It's just going round and round in circles. And
Yeah,
it's hard
it
to,
felt very much like an old school open workout.
yeah, and it's hard to see the race
That
as well.
yeah.
Even though you know there's a
Yeah.
race, when they're all at different stages, it's like I just don't know who's in the lead right now. And it's but yeah, I agree. Like the only separation, was how fast could you transition from the muscle ups into the handstand push ups. If you watch Noah, he just kicked down straight into them, whereas Inferno would like shake out his arms for about 5 to 10 seconds. And then the snatches, I mean, they're all breaking it anyway, so there wasn't too much
Yeah.
like difference on that. Just depends if it taxed you a bit more than others. But everyone was doing the muscle ups unbroken, so it didn't really matter too much on the men's side on that front. But yeah, and then on the ladies, let me switch that. We had Tia. I mean, that's not too surprising. I feel like Tia's when it comes to this style of gymnastics workout, like smaller sets but still high volume, then with a barbell in there, I think Tia was always gonna do well in this one, if not win, which she did. And then we had
And
Emma Carey just
I,
behind her, which I thought
I
was
think
pretty impressive.
yeah, all I was going to say about Tia is that I think she overpaced it from the start, which is exactly what she needed to do. Like she was like I think if you look at her round splits, they were all fairly consistent throughout. And she was breaking them up into the snatches into threes from the start, into 3 sets from the start, and that was like exactly what you needed to do to just manage the fatigue throughout. Whereas you had people who were like, okay, well, I can't make up time on the gymnastics, so I need to make up time on the barbell. I need to push the pace here, like not realizing there's a degree of interference between the two, right?
Yeah. And if you watch Tia's snatches, I know it's light, so you can change your grip, but she was definitely of the top people. She was definitely really manipulating her technique. She was just grabbing it way narrower, almost like
Mm.
between your clean and a snatch grip, so pretty narrow. And then she was basically just muscling it up. Yeah, so just little things. Obviously, she's strong enough to do that as well, but it saves a bit of time. Any other notables in that event? Anyone that surprised you? I mean, Laura, I feel like I know her handstand push-ups aren't amazing, but with it just being normal kipping, I thought she would have finished a bit higher than that. I was thinking at least top 10. So for 14th, wasn't the best. So clearly, she's still just that's still just a issue for her, but I'm sure she's working on it. So
I was surprised by Manon Ankeny's coming in 4th.
yeah.
She obviously came through the qualifier for this, I think, if memory serves. Did she? Did she qualify from the games?
I don't know. I do not know.
Either way, like quite impressive from her. Yeah, she was 30. Yeah, she was 35th at the game, so she did the qualifier and came through that way. So yeah, I wasn't expecting her to have that density, but I think given the fact she's a little bit more of an open athlete, qualifier, like good at qualifiers and like not necessarily good out in the field, I'd say it's a pretty strong finish from her. And it fits that type of workout as well.
Yeah. Cool. All right, we'll do event 5. So event 5 was the duel. So the deal
Talking
3,
of dull events to watch,
yeah, this was the worst. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Both the next two back to back were. This is what made me just want to quit CrossFit at this point. To be honest with you, the deal 3 we had.
we nearly signed up for a pairs high rocks competition in the middle of this.
We should do that. That'd be quite good content.
No, it would not. No, it would not. If you enjoy me doing 8K for time while you do all the implements, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh dear. We had the deal 3, so it was up and over. Well, it was actually up. So up, under, up on the logs. And then just a little run to the sandbags, and 3 sandbags into the most irrelevant implement I've ever seen used in a CrossFit competition. They could have just chucked it over a line. What a waste of money and space, and just I don't know what the point of that bin was.
Right, I'll defend Rogue here in the hope that they send me some kit. Yeah, I think it was used in the strongman things as well. Like I enjoyed seeing that there. It was a clear. I think the strongman you need that sort of delineator, and so using it on both sides, I think was something that was quite interesting. Could they have spent the money on waterproofing the whole of the event? Yeah, probably. Would that have been a better use of money? Yeah, probably. But they're an equipment company, and this is this is sort of what I really felt throughout this whole weekend is that more so than ever, this felt like a rogue marketing spend, right? It felt like they were, hey, look, we make great equipment, we can do great things and showcase great things. Let's showcase that for you. Like, and here are things that we can do to try and fit in different types of equipment, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always been a marketing, like, just showcase basically of Rogue kit. But yeah, I just thought that whatever they call it, what do they call it? The teeter tot, whatever it was.
Yeah, yeah.
What a waste! It literally didn't do anything. It was so pointless. It was just I don't know what was like what even was that. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know about you, but most surprising was I feel like Danny Spiegel. I know it was heavy sandbags, but the pace she was moving up and over those logs was, I thought, really surprising. I thought it was really impressive, and I
Yeah.
was like, wow, I didn't know you'd be able to move like that well, to be honest. So I was like, fair play.
Well, yeah, I was trying to look back to find like workouts that she's done that are you know um sprint type workouts, and I couldn't find anything that sort of aligns with that from previous games or what have you. But yeah, it was really impressive. I think obviously she did Titan, is that what it was called? Titan
Yeah,
Fitness Games? No, not Titan Fitness Games.
no, it wasn't
Whatever
fitness. It was
whatever the thing
it
was.
was literally just called the Titan Games, I think.
Titan Games, yeah. Whatever, like the thing that Matt Chan won and she won as well. And so that sort of athleticism like does carry over to it as well. Sorry, I'm on her games profile. Do you want to guess what her Fran time is?
I don't know. I don't know. 2 minutes flat. I don't know.
6 minutes 30.
Okay.
Thought you'd enjoy that. Okay. Obviously it isn't 2 minutes. It isn't 6 minutes 30. Her grace is 2:10 as well. But yeah, she I was able to sort of take advantage of it. And yeah, just the way that this event is set up, the long resets in between, the lack of legless rope climb, which meant that there was less of an execution piece. And on the topic of Rogue, just surely all you have to do is just put like some perspex above the rig, right? I'm not being mad here. Like that's all you have to do to stop rain coming in. You just need to put a roof on it, right? And then and then you can use everything, and it's not a problem because the ropes will stay dry. Is that? Am I?
If it rains
Am I
sideways,
like?
then that's not gonna work, is it?
I mean, come on. This isn't flooding in the north of England where. Sorry, I was a very niche reference to Rees Coffey, the environment minister, saying that the rain came from the other way, so he didn't know how to deal with it from a flooding standpoint. I was like, what on earth is going? Anyway, I'll save that for our political podcast. Yeah, yeah. That's what. So they said they knew about the rain from the start, right? From the start of the week, and they had contingency plans. Like, surely contingency plans shouldn't just be, yeah, we'll take out a movement and not replace it with anything.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they, yeah, I don't know. That's just they're pretty much stuck because they obviously, well, they're taken out a pulling movement, and there's like, what else can we add into here? Really, obviously they did change that in the later on in the pegboard event that ended up being handstand walk. But yeah, I know your
But
point.
heck, like put a sled pull on there. Like if it's athlete safety you're worried about, like just
Yeah,
like you have to sprint down, you have to pick up the rope, you have to drag a sled,
they can't do
like,
that,
and
Ben.
then you have to throw the
They've
sandbags in.
spent all the money on the teeter tot. They can't afford to do that. You don't see how cool that teeter tot thing was.
Oh dear.
They literally bankrupt themselves for
Yeah,
that. Oh dear. But yeah, had
it's
Laura
fine.
finish in
It's Matt
second.
Black November. Yeah.
This is where the big swings happen. So obviously in the previous event, Laura came 14th, tier one, and then basically a flip flop. Tier came 12th, I think, in this one,
Hmm.
and Laura came second. So pretty much again back to almost all square on those two events back to back. But yeah, people saying like Tier, oh, she would have done better if she didn't have the buy. I was like, well, she could have done worse if she didn't have the buy. If she goes, well, if they're all 20 go and she does the same
Yeah.
execution, she might finish even worse. So,
Would she have? Would she get
well, they don't,
27:43?
yeah, but they don't reset. I don't know how they do the times because how can you rank someone in order if you didn't even get to do the first heat, if that makes sense? Because
Yeah,
the times get
she'd
reset.
but her first time. So it looks like they've got the times that they completed. So the bottom five. So Karen Fraser got 34:45, Bethany Flores got 32:38, Karen Milligan got 30:78, and Shelby Neal got 30:55. And then Tia
I
got
know, but
27:43.
I get that, but how do they would they rank it then? Because obviously they don't even get to do the first heat. So if what happens if their time was worse than someone who came in the bottom five? How would they then rank that leaderboard?
Oh yeah,
Because don't even does that make sense? So I
yeah,
don't really
yeah,
know
yeah.
how they.
But I'm saying that it wasn't in this instance
Yeah, well,
because her
but plus
time
I'm
was
it's
faster.
yeah,
Yeah,
but it's just weird. They've but it's worked out that way. So they've definitely ordered them. But what happens
yeah,
is let's say if Tia came did it in like 40 seconds but she was
yeah.
already in the top 15 and someone who came 19th did it in 35
Mm,
seconds,
mm,
would
mm.
they then rank her
Yeah,
above it? They wouldn't be able to do that
mm,
because she's that
no,
bottom five's not in it. So does that make sense?
yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
really
I'm with you.
but yeah, that's only a bit. And yeah, also just the watchability of that event was just so bad. It's like I don't know, I need to go back and actually the total viewing time compared to the actual
I
work
was
time
like,
is just
dude, it was
so.
like 4 hours. It's like five
Yeah,
hours or something
to
stupid.
what watch how many heats was it? 5 6 heats per division, so like
If
12
that,
heats in total.
if that.
And it was like the heats, what, 20 seconds? Yeah, long,
What
so
time?
long.
What time was this on?
It
Was this?
started this started exactly the same time as when the Rugby World Cup final started, and they weren't even through like 5 heats by the time the final finished or something like that. It was absolutely ridiculous.
It was
um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Thankfully,
mental.
the Rugby World Cup final was a much better watch, depending on your allegiance.
Out the boys in green and gold. Let's go. um, but yeah, and then for the men's
For the men,
side, we yeah, who actually won this one? Oh yeah, Hopper won this one. Um,
yeah,
Hopper Fakowski, little duel at the end there. It was a good race. Um,
yeah, it was.
it was interesting. It's quite like this one. It's almost like the people who moved the sandbag the best uh, took advantage of it. Like obviously Hopper and Fikowski were the top two in the sandbag event from the games 2 years ago. Venel did all right. Travis Mayer is a pretty good mover of a sandbag. Obviously, Yella Hoster probably got better brute strength in terms of that style rather than barbell. And then Dallin Pepper as your top six. So um, I mean, same for Hopper. I know he's got athletic backgrounds with his football, but he moved again really fast to the bags, which was quite impressive for how big he is. And Fikowski, to be
He's
fair,
a, he's a, he, he's an athlete, mate.
he's an athlete.
He's an athlete. Walked on at Clemson and then walked off. But yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah. Anything notable from that event?
No, I was very, very much done with it.
Yeah. I mean, Jeff Adler, not the best finish.
Like it was such a. I think taking out the legless rope. Gone. Yeah, 11th. Like not great from him. Worst finish over the weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Roman, 13th as well. Basically, those two middle finishers, 15th and 13th, were not the ones for him.
Yeah, I need to go back and watch Roman because I have a feeling that he may have been protecting his ankle a little bit.
Do you think? I don't know. I feel like the 15th on the ring muscle up one is. I don't know if that's even surprising because we thought he wasn't good at muscle ups, and then he did well in the muscle up one from. Well, he became whatever second or third at the games.
Yeah, but that's
then,
like there's a difference between being good at something in isolation and good at something when it's compounded by something where it's combined with
yeah,
what your weakness is, right?
yeah.
So Krennikov being good at ring muscle ups in isolation with like a sandbag carry is completely different than being good at it with handstand push ups. I think the handstand push ups are like the biggest stumbling block for him there.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, the 13th wasn't great. As someone said, he was just having flashbacks to the last time he stepped over a log in competition, so he had to be careful.
Dealing with the PTSD of it.
Slow and steady. But yeah, that was event 5. All right, event 6, we had the next most boring event, the 1 rep max deadlift. And it was just even more boring than they could have made it. Just a straight up barbell, not even any cool implement. And yeah, it took again 2 hours, something just to get through.
I
went
ladder. To bed and watched it the next morning in about 3 minutes.
Yeah,
where I cycled through. I saw where the important people got stuck. I was like, oh, nope, he wasn't strong enough to lift that. I think that's the thing, right? There's no technique with it. Oh, well, there is some technique with it.
Whoa,
but it's a.
Now.
But I you're not going to like it's not like you. It's not like an Olympic lift where there's a degree of technique where how you're missing it is dependent on something else aside from, just a lack of strength. But yeah, no, it was. Yeah,
it was so dull, so dull. Yeah, it was so boring.
And we didn't even get the because they did the tie break beforehand, right? Which was a jerry can carry.
Yeah,
and that, we didn't even get to see that.
I know.
Give us a degree of excitement aside from whether somebody can pick a bar up or not.
I know.
They're
just very boring. Chandler Smith won, shock for the men. That's the thing. Also, it was the most boring event, and also leading to probably the most well-known outcome of all the events that was going to happen.
Yeah.
You could pretty much guess who was going to do well in this one.
Yeah.
Only for the men, probably the most surprising was Jay Crouch, 5th place. That was big.
Yeah, that's mad. That's really big.
Out of all the people, he's not a big guy, so that was pretty impressive.
And I think you'd have expected Adler to do better.
Yeah, I agree. But apart from that, nothing too crazy. I mean, he had Hoffo didn't even attempt the first bar. Well, he fake attempted it. Yeah, pretended to lift it and then just walked off. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's not really much to say. It was a boring event. Pretty much got the winners you expected. Don't really know what else to say about that one. On to the women. Uh,
Exactly the same. Danny Spiegel
so,
didn't win a
actually,
strength
no,
event though.
Alex Kazan to win it. I know she's really strong, but I think most people thought Danny was probably going to win it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
fair play to Alex. Um,
And Tia
but
lifting
yeah,
400 pounds beltless.
yeah, savage. Um,
That was what was really really impressive with this. I think.
yeah, but again, that like top four, not too surprising. Um, I mean, Laura Fisher, not a bad finish, 8th. I mean, she probably had the most surprising competition out of everyone. Um, I'd argue.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean,
but yeah,
you say that
I just
it went downhill from the deadlift onwards.
it
But
did. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about this event. It was dull. So there you go. On to event 7.
event 7.
Okay, event 7, we had the like chipper for the week. So it was some cows on an echo bike into it was basically like dumbbell clean jerks with these new like fat bell things. So like your hands sort of in like it's almost like a kettlebell, but your hands are in the kettlebell. That's where the handle is. And then it was like clean jerks with those. And then it was into lunges. They did lunges on the spot for safety because of the rain. And then they went for a run up the hill. Oh no, they dragged the bag up the hill, sorry. And then they slid back down the hill, ran back, and then did the lunges, did the ground to overhead, and then did the bike. And that was it. So, I mean, quite a power output chipper, even though it's obviously a slightly longer duration. I feel like people who could move the machine well, move, moderate to heavy weight well, with that was a correlation in where you finished. So obviously, you had Lauren first, Gabby second, Alex Kazan in third, Emma Carey in fourth, and Tia in fifth. But yeah, I mean, again, not too surprising seeing Laura take the win in this one. That's like pretty much her bread and butter style of event, really. Just steady power output, moderate load, bit of machine, nothing too crazy.
Yeah, she looked
Yeah,
absolutely cooked at the end of this though.
yeah.
They all looked
I,
absolutely done.
yeah, I think it's finishing, as I say, like if you want to make a machine count in a workout, put it at the end, then you'll see them
Yeah.
actually push, and it's going to
Yeah.
hit way worse than if you put it in the middle of the event where everyone just coast it. So it actually matters
Yeah.
more.
Emma Carey, on that note, absolutely murdered that final bike.
Yeah.
And she's that type of athlete who can just like, she knows what she needs to do. She'll just like, she can switch off and just do it. And that was so impressive because I think she definitely overtook Tia. I think she may have overtaken Emily Rolfe as well on it.
Mm.
But yeah, she was playing hard catch up with Alex Kazan and a couple of others. So that was pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, and talk about like like events that show like correlation, that you could pick one event that will show like correlation for the
Yeah.
whole weekend. I feel like this is the event for the ladies. If you look at first down to 7th, that pretty much included the top, I think 5 or top 6 overall finishers from the ladies in that top 7 from that event, and in pretty similar order. So it's just an interesting note on the type of characteristic tested in that event, and just in reference to like the overall leaderboards by the end of the competition. But yeah, I don't think anything else too crazy to note on that event. I feel like Paige Powers wasn't a great finish. I don't know what she didn't have a great competition in general. I don't know, like she did really well at Wadapalooza, obviously last year. I think people thought she'd push on from there. I can't remember where she finished at the games. But yeah, I don't know.
10th.
Just yeah, so that's a solid finish. And yeah, I don't know, just didn't really have any amazing finish at this. She had a third in the next event, but apart from that, everything else was pretty much around the
Mid.
15
Yeah.
mark. So
Yeah.
bit surprising from her. But yeah, that was event 7 for the ladies. Let's look at the men. Right. So we had Dan and Pepper
Now
win this one.
this is more of a machine Like this top three guys are machines, right?
Top
You
four,
got
I'd say.
Pepper, yeah, Pepper, Krennikov, Hopper, and Hoster.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Hoster, even though it's like Hoster absolutely sent that final bike as well. That was what I was looking for. I was looking for somebody to like sort of coast the first 15 to 20 and then send, or I say not coast, but go hard and then go even harder on that last 15 to 10 because that's how you could like make a huge gap. And that's what he was able to do. Got past Ricky, got past Jeff as well,
Mm.
which was, yeah, really, really impressive.
Yeah. I'd be interested because I don't think was Dallin. Dallin wasn't in the same heat as Roman in that
No,
event at that point. So would be interesting to see if they were going head to head in that one. See if the result
yeah.
ended up a bit different. They're only 4 seconds apart, so don't know. Roman might have had him if they were neck and neck. Um, but yeah, pretty much just straight out power output. And then obviously the clean jerks. I think that's where Roman made up more of his time as well. If you
Yeah.
watch everyone else, they were going between the legs and just a slightly slower cycle speed, whereas he was going outside the legs, basically just strict curling them up and then just pressing them out. Um, but yeah, he's a beast at that type of stuff, and he enjoyed his little slide down the hill, which was quite cute. um, dear.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was. It was.
Cool. All right. Event. Oh my! It's just got a connection error. I've just lost my leaderboard. Oh no. Oh dear. What's going on?
Have you completed? Do you want me to? Event 8 was the. I've now lost it.
Oh, it's come up. It's come up. So event 8 was
Okay,
the
cool.
box jumps, handstand walk, and then basically like a little run, like an active recovery, little shuffle. They can't even call it a run. It was literally like a 25-foot run to a cone and back. Um, but yeah, it was changed from there's supposed to be pegboard instead of the handstand walk, but I thought it was quite good. Like, if rain or not, it should have been a handstand walk instead of a pegboard. They've already done quite a lot of upper
Yeah.
pulling. There's not a lot of
Yeah.
inversion. So, and they've never done handstand walk ever at Rogue. I think apparently it's because Josh Bridges doesn't believe it's functional, so he never puts it in. He just like hates handstand walk, and obviously he programs Rogue. So,
Me and for aligned on that.
but yeah, so box jump again. It's only 5 reps. I think it was 5 reps. It was like 5 rounds, and it was into the 50-foot handstand walk, little shuffle out, shuffle back, 50-foot handstand walk back to your box. But yeah, this is Victor Hoffer's win. So handstand walk event pretty much was like the main factor, and yeah, took the win. Followed by Tudor Magda, who's probably got the fastest handstand walk out of the men's fields. Like his pace. I went back and watched that again just to see because Tudor, they were in the same heat and he's moving way faster than Hoffer does on the
Yeah.
actual walk.
Offer.
And with that
Yeah.
being the main
Yeah.
factor, you would think Tudor actually would have won. But then you look at the transitions, Hoffer's just running between his transitions and box jumping a bit
Yeah.
faster. So that's where he made up his time with him. But yeah, Tudor Magda's cycle speed on the handstand walk is pretty impressive.
Mm.
Yeah, Jay Crouch, again, pretty solid finish. And then Dallin Pepper, that was a pretty good finish as well. Wouldn't expect to see
Yeah,
him
I was
up there.
surprised by that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what we're seeing there, so obviously he came first in event 7, fourth in event 8, and spoiler, he came third in event 9. Uh, like he showed this at the games last year as well, or this year. He's just able to close out competitions really, really well. Which is like it's impressive. But I don't know like where was this the rest of the the rest of the weekend, you know? Like, does he have to wait for everyone else to be absolutely shattered before he can like start to make his move? Like, no, he probably needs to start making his move a little bit earlier. Um, or I don't know, like maybe he like was a little bit ill coming into it and then was able to sort himself out afterwards. But
Yeah. Yeah, any other notables in that? I mean, Velner wasn't the best finish. I feel like a 10th. I think it's better than that. I think he could have got a bit of finish in that event.
yeah, like I think Velner definitely coasted. Like in contrast to Pepper, like definitely coasted the final 3, like a 9th, a 10th, and a 10th.
Yeah.
I know he had a big lead going into the final day. But yeah, he just didn't seem to push that hard compared
Well,
to
you
everyone
say that. I
else.
think in the chipper one, he was actually quite close to Roman during most of the
Yes,
event.
yeah.
And then I don't know what
Yeah.
happened to him, but on the last set of the clean and jerks into the bike, he
Yeah, he
lost
just
like
got
three
completely.
spots, 3 or 4
Yeah.
spots. I was like, what you do? Like, he's so, I can't say he's so bad at closing events because he does well and wins competitions and like obviously won this one and has obviously had a great career. But sometimes I don't know what he just, when it's close at the line, he sometimes just throws away like 3 or 4 spots. And it's like, what are you doing? Um, but yeah.
So
Um,
on event 7, as an example, he goes 5 seconds. There was a clump of guys from Adler in 6th in that event at 9:50, down to Pat at 9:55. He comes 6 seconds ahead. Like he's got that extra 20-point gap. And exactly
that's
the
what I
same
mean.
thing happened
Yeah.
on yeah, exactly the same on event 8 as well. Up to 7th, 7:44. He was on 7:48. So an extra, like, he saves 5 seconds somewhere in the work, and he gets an extra 4 spots, and it's a much more comfortable end to the weekend. So
Yeah.
that collective, like, 10 seconds, like, could have been, and we'll come on to it in a little bit, could have been like really, really big. Because I know he always talks about, like, hey, I tend to get better as competitions go on. I think he may have been beat down quite a lot by what had happened up to that point. Yeah, go back and watch those clean and jerks, because he looked absolutely absolutely done on them.
Yeah. Cool. All right. And then for the ladies, we had obviously Daniel Brandon take the win. Not too surprising on a handstand walk biased event. She's definitely far
I didn't know
away.
she was competing this weekend. It's the first I saw of her.
But yeah, took the win. Not too surprising. And then I thought it was really surprising. Tia in second. Like obviously I know she's Tia, but her
Yeah,
handstand walk has never been that good.
no,
Throwback to 2020 games, she came dead last in a 5-man field. Okay, saying that
yeah,
the other 4 ladies were some of the best in
yeah,
CrossFit at handstand walking, but she still got absolutely demolished by them in that event. And I think if you go back to 2019, second cut, that workout with the sprint chipper, kettlebell wheels, like 800-meter row, some weird like 66 kettlebell shoulder overhead into like 100, like
mm,
32-ish foot of of handstand walking. I think she didn't do great in that event either. Like she had like a middle of the pack finish. So I never thought handstand walk was that amazing. So I think I actually messaged you, Ben, like when they changed it and it was handstand walk. I was like, oh, this is Tia might lose some points here. And then within the first
mm.
round, she was like had a strong lead. I was like, oh, she might have got a bit better.
I think
Um,
the similar thing you said with Hoffer, where yes, her handstand walk speed may not have been the fastest, but she was able to push the pace a lot more. Like watching her basically like not control coming down off the box jumps. Like, I don't do that off a 24-inch box jump, let alone a 32. Like I was not comfortable watching that. I was like, you're going to blow an Achilles. And yeah, and this explains a lot of my approach to CrossFit, which is overly cautious as opposed to anything else. I am adverse to risk taking. But anyway, less about me, more about Tia. Yeah, so it was really impressive to watch her, like, come in and just execute that. And I think what showed was her overall fitness in this. Like, yes, she's good at handstand walks, but she's really, really good at handstand walks under fatigue compared to everyone else. And she was able to come in, like, absolutely smash it. And that was really, really impressive.
yeah, and then we had well, obviously this is the main storyline. We had Laura finish in 5th in that event, so that ended up basically flipping the leaderboards. They were all square going into the final event. So big drama lining up
Dude,
between those two.
0.2 seconds
Yeah, if you go
off
back
Emma
and
Carey.
watch, yeah, if you go, I watched it this morning, but she was even like she was like 5 meters behind. She made up 5 meters of distance in their last whatever that was, last 30-meter sprint from the boxes to the finish line. It was actually mental. Like Emma Carey's just in front of her, and then Laura literally just closes in on her and beat. Yeah, it was mental. Um, and yeah, so and Emma Carey was just ahead of Tia in the previous event on the bike, I
Mm,
think. So she played a
yeah,
role in both of those situations.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, mental. All right, final event. We had obviously It was like double unders and then a variety of cleans into squat cleans into clean and jerks. Basically, 3 rounds of like, what was it, 25 dubs, power cleans, and 2 rounds of dubs and squat cleans, and then 1 round of dubs and clean jerks. So yeah, on the women's side, this was the big moment, head to head, winner takes all. Uh, would we see, undefeated Tia take her first loss in like 6 years? Or would yeah, and well, I mean, Laura, the race was crazy. I thought like it was um, just almost perfect execution. Laura had like one trip on her dubs, but apart from that, like the speed they're going with, I'd like anyone listening to this, go do that workout the same weight, and you're not beating them. Like there's just the speed they're going at is ridiculous. Like on for quick singles as well. I don't think people understand that cycle speed, how fast that is. Obviously, like for a strong guy, you could do touch and go, but then you might not be fit enough to keep up that
Nope.
pace for multiple rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just crazy, and yeah, for
I
Laura
don't know.
to take the win,
You might be all right at that if there's not ring muscle ups at the
dubs.
start.
There's no old dubs. Mate, sets of 25 is my jam. Sets of 100, no.
Sets of 25 is my jam.
Still break
Trips on the
70,
set.
15, 10. No
Oh
tripping. I just
dear.
actively break. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw Tudor Madda did that for the men. He was actively breaking the dubs. My god was blowing. I was like, I've been there. Don't worry.
Jeez.
Yeah, but yeah, Laura, big
Um.
win. I
Yeah.
thought like you could see like Tia's soul left her body when she missed that jerk. It's like, oh, I've literally just
Yeah.
lost this. But yeah, it was very
But
satisfying.
I think it was like there was like a small smile on her face at that point. She was like, I've let her in here.
Yeah.
I know what I've done.
Well, I think it was pretty much really regarding a mistake from Laura. It was pretty much done within the first round of the squat cleans. Laura
Mm,
had like a full rep ahead of her, and it was like unless
mm,
Laura really for some reason threw it away, she pretty much had it done. The pace she was
mm.
going at, Tia was. It looked more like I think I don't know who said it. It was on one of the podcasts. Basically said it looks like Laura basically dictated the pace, even though Tia was
Yeah.
keeping up with her.
Yeah.
And if Laura really wanted to, she could have probably even like pushed it if she really had to. Whereas Tia was hanging on
Yeah.
for dear life just to keep up with her. And also,
Yeah.
apparently, it was supposed to be a heavier event. Apparently, they changed
Mm,
the weights, but it was meant to be heavier. And I think that would have favored Laura even more, to be honest. So,
yeah. Yeah. No.
either way you look at
100%.
it, I think Laura, if the only way she was going to lose that event was like an execution error, and she pretty much
Mm.
executed it flawlessly. And under that pressure, like that's just so impressive. Like I don't know how she must have been feeling, like just the the pressure and the nerves. You're literally walking out, you're tied with arguably, one of the best CrossFitters ever to do it, and you got a chance to beat her, and everyone's saying you only won the games because she wasn't there, and like just everything that was part of it, and then to basically go next to her head to head and take her down. I don't know, that just must have been such a satisfying feeling. Um, but yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah. On that note, because I alluded to it at the start where Laura came out after and just said like, yeah, I feel this is a real vindication. Like everyone said, I didn't deserve to win the games. I only won because Tia wasn't there, and I've come here and beaten her. And I was like, I think you could have kept that one to yourself. I don't think you needed to say that. I think she had a great opportunity there to say, hey, like, what a crazy push I've had this weekend. That was insane from a woman who is 5 months postpartum or whatever it is. That was brilliant. And like had that opportunity to speak to the positive side of it. As opposed to just saying what I think she probably would say in private, if that makes sense.
I know what you're
If I
saying, but
was,
I don't
yeah,
know. I feel we
if I
need we
was,
need some shit talking CrossFit, and we can't keep
yeah, but yeah,
demonizing
no, I
people
know,
when they
no, I
talk
know,
about like. I thought it was fine. I
no, no, no,
don't. Yeah.
but I'd also say I don't want to give Tia fuel.
Yeah,
I
but
don't want to light
let's
that
be honest,
fire.
Tia's gonna probably win the games by like 1,000,000 points. I don't think like even though Laura won this event, uh, next year, assuming hands and push-ups come up, Laura's going to take a 30th, and Tia's probably going to win the event, and that's going to be enough points buffer for her to see out the whole competition. And Tia's going to just get fitter anyway. So I don't think this shows that Laura's going to beat Tia at the games. To be honest with you, I think Tia probably still wins by like 80 plus points. Like she'll probably go into the last
Y-
event with a
Yeah,
massive buffer as
yeah.
usual.
Mm.
Um, yeah, but I don't know. I know people got. She got. I feel like whatever Laura said was absolutely fine. I was like, yeah, fair.
Oh
Um,
no. I don't see anything wrong with it. I think from a communication standpoint of managing her image, and you just need to go to the Rogue Invitational Instagram post and look at all the comments underneath it, which are overly negative to say the least.
yeah, that's
I
CrossFit and not
like
shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. Like people crawl out of the woodwork and say all these negative things. But Tia had a huge number of fans this weekend who were rooting for her to come back and absolutely put on a show, and she did just that. Like
Yeah,
Tia, I know Laura won, but Tia won with what she needed to do this weekend as well. I think.
yeah, yeah. Obviously, yeah. Don't get me wrong. What Tia did was like crazy to come back. Obviously, after having a kid, like literally 5 months later, and almost win a competition against the best women in the world at the sport you do is mental. Um, I mean, there's probably other factors in there. Like,
Yeah,
I know she has come back 5 months later, but it's not like she wasn't training. Like, even when she was fully pregnant, she was still training, like doing the open.
yeah,
It's not like she sat on her butt and
yeah.
didn't do anything for a year straight. I can assure you, once she had a kid, I feel like she was like straight back to it. Um, but yeah, it's still absolutely mental to almost. And really, like, the one event that cost her was pretty much the duel. If she
Yeah.
executes a bit better, she makes up. I think normal tier probably like takes top five in that event. She just executes a bit better, and there's no reason she
Yeah,
couldn't
but
have
we've
even done that in this event. Um, so she pretty much was very close to winning the whole thing.
sort of head to
So
head heat style execution workouts. We've seen Tia not do well in the past as well.
yeah,
So I
shout
think
out
it's
the crossover, the
a
single unders.
potential chink in the armor. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Like it's a potential chink in the armor, right? Is kind of how I'm viewing it.
yeah,
Um, which is, sort of
and
like,
the first round of that ski erg double shoulder head monkey bar workout. So like sometimes she needs
yeah,
to get a feel
yeah,
for the workout before she can really start
yeah.
pushing into it. Um,
But
but yeah,
look, proven don't have any other athletes to focus on now, so they can really iron out
exactly.
Tia's all Tia's weaknesses.
But yeah, I don't know. I just feel
The,
like
the,
what Laura said in the interview was fine. I think people need to just enjoy some drama in CrossFit for once and not just shit on people, because the sport's pretty boring and cringe enough sometimes. So um, let's get some drama going. But yeah, we shall see.
Yeah, I think we may as well just like do a little rundown of the rest of the leaderboard as well. Um,
Yeah, we even
while,
talk
while
about
we're
the
on the
men.
women.
Oh yeah, okay.
Oh,
I
okay.
can say.
All right. No, we'll talk about the men. We'll talk
Oh,
about the men.
I'll just what was it? The final event for the men, obviously Pasi Vellner almost threw it away.
Telling you,
He
man,
loves it.
that money bar is not good for him. That money bar does bad things to Pat Vellner overhead. Oh
uh,
dear, heart throat moment.
you see a
Jesus.
barbell spin put out a stat 9 seconds slower, he would have lost. So, yeah, crazy, mental. He had like, I think mathematically he had to finish. Well, if Jeff had won, he had to finish no worse than like 13th or something, and Jeff won and he came like 10th. So he cut it quite fine. Um, but yeah, Jeff won that final event, absolutely smashed it. I mean, it's not too surprising if you look back at this is ages ago now, but that open workout with all the clean and jerks at the increasing weight with the pistols and the box jumps. I think didn't he beat everyone's time by like 2 minutes or
Mm,
something?
mm.
It was somehow it was like one of the most biggest like open
Yeah, yeah.
workout wins ever. So he moves a barbell at moderate to heavy load very well when it comes to like barbell cycling. So not too surprising to see him take that win on that event. And then we had Roman in second, which I mean is I think a bit surprising. I feel like, for that type of event. Um, and obviously, I see you laughing because obviously Mr. Fikowski was right there once again. He was actually ahead of Roman until the last 5 reps. If you go back and watch it, Fikowski's a rep ahead of Roman the whole workout until the last 5 clean and jerks. And for some reason, Fikowski decides it's a good idea to start split jerking 100 kg on a clean and jerk barbell cycling workout, and Roman just power clean and jerking them, and then passes him. I was like, oh, that's tough to see.
That was, given the number of times now that we've seen, like, and he acknowledged it himself. Like, I don't know if you saw his Instagram post talking about it, where he was like, this, like, fourth again, like, this isn't good. I don't feel good after this.
Well,
Is
my guy's
basically what
been
he
to,
said.
so what was it? 2018, he came tied third of Hoburg, and then obviously lost on a tie break because he came fourth that year, even
Yeah,
though he was
yeah,
tied third. And then obviously Dubai last year, he went from first to third, just from failing the last lunge on the last workout. And not even like
yeah,
the last lunge, like
yeah,
the
yeah,
last
yeah.
2 inches of his step. Like, he brought the dumbbells down to his shoulders before he just fully locked out the lunge. This year at the games,
Yeah.
he again was like a few seconds short of getting a third. And then obviously at Rogue, this time he's tied thirds and then lost on a tie break. My guy just, I don't know what he does. Like, him and Vellner have like a tendency just to just make silly mistakes at the wrong moment sometimes. It's very frustrating. But hey, it keeps it
Yeah,
exciting. That's why we're all fans of them.
he said adding yet another invisible fourth place medal to the trophy case is not the best feeling, I'll be honest. And then Vellner's commented the Universo's Brent Fikowski one. Like, yeah, I think it does.
But yeah, and actually it's 2016 as well when Vellner came third. I think he lost to Vellner by literally like 4 or 5 points and came fourth at that
Yeah,
games as well.
yeah.
So yeah, there's been a multiple times he's come up just short. And also, if you know his backstory, I think he missed out from making to the games from regionals like
So
twice
many
by within like
times.
5 points as well. So
It was more than twice,
Fikowski's
I feel like.
of all the men to face adversity in their career, when it comes to like just missing out, he's definitely at the top. I feel like, yeah, tough break for him. We had Dan and Pepper, good finish, third place in that one. As you said, like a crazy good finish to his final day. Jumped him way up the leaderboard and ended up finishing 8th overall. So yeah, pretty good for him. Any notables in that one? I feel like Hopper, that's not like, he had 2 very poor finishes to finish the competition, back to back 13th.
Yeah, I
Drop
think
him back to 7th.
you messaged me saying like, hey, do you think Hopper can like make a podium push? And I looked at that final workout, and he's a big guy, he's a strong guy, right? So you think he'd be able to tolerate the volume, but looking at him, I was like, no, like he doesn't scream that kind of athlete to me.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
like,
I think I
nah,
said
he's gonna
he doesn't move with what's the word? Like not intensity, but
intent, purpose.
intent, that's it, yeah, with purpose. So like if you compare him to Fikowski,
Yeah.
Fikowski's going to be really meticulous, really calculated in the way he steps to the bar, the way he's moving the bar, like his timing between reps, whereas Hopper's more, I feel like, just go with the flow, and yeah, a bit more lackadaisical with the way he moves through a workout basically, and that's where you lose time. So I think John Young said it on the podcast. He said, like, if you look at some of Hopper's times, he's like just a bad version of Fikowski. There's some events where they both do badly in, but because Fikowski brings more intent and planning to his workouts, he's always finishing like 5 spots higher. And there's no reason Hopper can't do that either. And Hopper's stronger than Fikowski. So Hopper's already got the hole that Fikowski's always working on. So if Hopper can put it together in terms of more like, you know, the way he approaches a workout, there's no reason he can't be top 3. And here we go again, talking him into a top 3 at the games. But yeah, so.
Yeah, we won't rehash the interview that he gave, talking about.
He just wants to be with his friends. He just wants to live his life.
We all just want to be with our friends, but sometimes like achieving a bigger goal is kind of a better, like, longer term thing to feel, right? Sorry.
Yeah. But hey, he still
or an
came seventh
existential
against the best
crisis.
men in the
Though.
world, so maybe he's got a point. Maybe he just needs to chill out a bit more. Not everyone can
And he
have
beat
a
Dallin,
Fraser
which I imagine
mindset.
is no, and I think that was the so for those who haven't listened to it, he's talking about the fact that he's left living up in Vermont at HWPO HQ because I think he realized that the expectations and the pressure of having to do everything perfectly the way Matt did it just didn't work for him. And I think that there's a huge realization there in terms of like more broadly as to how you do everything, right? It's applying a huge amount of mental pressure to yourself like is never going to elicit like the most positive results in all instances. So you look at someone like Fraser, who's like was meticulous and was able to do that and was able to put that pressure on himself. Like not everyone's got that in their locker to be able to do. Like some people need to have that break. Excuse me. Some people need to have that space. Um, and I think I wanted to pivot to talk a little bit about Emma Lawson, who had an absolutely incredible competition, like back to back podiums. It's kind of like in the two biggest events of the year. Like, and she's still only 20. She
Yeah.
is. I'm excited for what I think next year will not just be a 2-horse race between Laura and Tia, but a 3-horse race. And who knows what Mal's up to and what she's doing. But, if she comes into it as well, I think, it makes a much more even playing field. And I think this is the thing that you look at. If you look at the men's top four, so you had Fikowski on 610, Roman on 610, Jeff on 640, and Pat on 660. You look at the women, you had Laura on 780, Tia on 770, then Emma on 650, and Gabby on 630. Like there is a gap between the top in on the women's side that just isn't there. And I think, considering the fact that Emma's worst finish was the deadlift, and she's getting stronger, and we know what she's doing is working, because she keeps getting stronger year on year. So I'm really excited to see what she's able to put together for next year. And the original point I wanted to talk about Emma is that she does have that mental separation. She went to prom, she's still being a kid, and enjoying life and creating that mental separation. I think between the fact that CrossFit is just something that you do as opposed to it being your whole life is probably like quite a good thing for her.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I don't know if it's going to be like 3-horse race next year. So it's going to be a 1-horse race, and then it's going to be battle for second. I still think Tia's going to just smash
Well, you think
everyone,
she's
but
still too far off the pace?
yeah, well, I know Rogue is biased towards heavier lifting and whatnot, but she's still what's that 120 points, which is over an event. That's like an event gap
Mm.
in terms of points. So it's still quite a lot. But we shall see. You never know. She keeps improving. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be more interesting. I don't know. Obviously, who knows when Tia's gonna retire? She might win this year and then call it quits. But if you do leave it to Laura, Emma, if Mal comes back, it's more. I just basically want to see who's gonna win first out of Emma or Mal, of like the new generation. Who's gonna be the first one to actually get the win at the games, basically. Because yeah, they basically had two very different approaches to it. One, as you said, lived more of a normal life. Obviously, still trains ridiculously hard, but CrossFit isn't everything. Whereas, by the sounds of it, Mal literally was homeschooled, trained for CrossFit from the age of like 12 till now, just every day, all day. One kind of burnt out a bit, but supposedly coming back this year. The other one's just been steadily improving, finishing higher and higher each year at the games. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Yeah, I just want to see who finishes first, basically. So should be interesting.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah, cool. Any other overall thoughts from the event?
A little bit disappointed that we didn't get to see Karen Freyover at her best. She was sick throughout the whole weekend, so wasn't really able to push on and compete. And then, Gabby McGower, like just a hair's breadth away from a podium. I think she podiumed last year at Rogue, if memory serves. And it would have been great to see a podium again, but obviously wasn't to be this year. But and this is something I hypothesized with you. I don't know whether her training with Laura is potentially putting a ceiling on what she can do. Because there was a couple of events that she beat Laura. I'm trying to quick look through. Okay, wow, no, she only beat Laura in 2 events, which was event 4, a ring muscle up handstand push up, and the run. So I think it's one of those things that you can sometimes run into where if you're training with somebody, like, do you see them as the ceiling, or do you see what is the actual ceiling and potential of that workout? And that's the only thing I'd probably say as a sort of excuse me, cautionary tale from her perspective is, okay, like, are you being limited by working out with Laura? It's kind of the only thing I'd probably say on that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing when it comes to like this type of training, like camp versus individual, because obviously they do. Well, Laura works with Ben Smith, and then I feel like Gabby just copies what Laura does, training wise. But like, is that what she needs to get better? Because if you're just working on what Laura's doing, you're already limiting yourself. Because I don't know, who knows? You don't even really know what their situation is. So maybe
No.
you would think they're smart enough that obviously Gabby needs to work on things she needs to work on, and obviously Laura's just better in general. So who knows? But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's arguably, I suppose, the end of this season. Little, yeah, bookends, and then everything kicks back up. And well, it depends. Do you think Dubai? What do you think Dubai is? Is that the beginning of the season, end of the season still? And then January is Fortaleza. Is that the start of the new year?
I'm still saying Waterpalooza is the end of the season and the Open is the start of the season. That's my
No,
view on it, and it's not going to change.
no, no. I don't agree on that.
But Dubai has started to put out some teasers. We had their first event released the other day, which you really like the look of.
Yeah, I think it's good.
And I think we're getting closer to a leaderboard as well. They're making a lot of athlete announcements. They haven't
Yeah, I
invited
see Rick.
all the top athletes.
Yeah, well, I see Ricky's doing it, which will be
Yeah,
pretty good.
yeah,
He'll probably win, to be
yeah.
honest. Based off the field so far, I think he'll have the best chance of winning.
I don't know. Were we a little bit disappointed by Ricky this year?
I
At
was
Rogue?
thinking, well, I was thinking that, but he did somehow finish fifth for a guy that I probably saw about twice through the whole competition. He still finished only behind like the best in the world, so like the next best 4 in the world. So,
Yeah, true.
I think he's fine. Like, obviously, he's come back from his injury. But yeah, I think it'd be good to go in Dubai. And Dubai is different programming. So we shall see. I think he'll win Dubai. Based off who they've announced, there's no other real bigger name that I think's gonna super challenge him. Is Lazo's doing it, isn't he? I know Luca's doing it.
Yeah, Lazar always does
Um,
it.
so that could be the closest race of the big names. But yeah, see what the workouts are like. The first one that they've announced is cool. It's like event 3. It's like 10 rounds of 1 legless rope climb, 15 wall balls, and 35 heavy double unders. So a nice armsy one to start with. Well, event 3, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
But yeah, anything else?
I'm just
Um,
I'm just going through. Yeah, I was just going to go through who they've announced so far. So they've got Luka Dukic. They've got Ricky, Emily Rolfe, Moritz Fiebig, Seher Kaya, David Charunki, then Taylor Howe, Javier Gonzalez. Nope, no idea. Andrea Solberg, Guillaume Brion, former games athlete, Matilda Garns, Georgios Karavis, because obviously it's a competition. Why wouldn't Karavis be there? And Claudia Gluck. Oh, Claudia Gluck. That'll be good. Let's see what else they've announced. And then we've also got, Yonakoski, Karen Frey, Alex Katulis, Mananganese, Reggie Fasser, Hannah Carlson, and Lazar Dukic as well.
Cool.
So, and it's 30 males, 30 females. So, yeah, very interested in how it's going to land because you obviously had Moritz and Karen Frey winning last. No, it was what's his face? Fabi Benito won it last year, didn't it?
Yeah, Phil Moritz finished second, and then Fikowski finished
He
third.
did. Fikowski finished third, yeah. So yeah, Fabi obviously didn't have a great time at the games. So interested to see if he pops back up and has a decent finish. But yes, that's probably the next big one. And I've just realised, is that the same weekend as Sid Triple Threat? It is. Well, that's depressing.
Jeez.
Oh well. Oh wait, yeah. Oh, so yeah, you can see who's not going there by the people who are at FitFest.
Yeah. FitFest, well, it's not surprising. They're doing like, it's more of a showcase, isn't it, than a competition. It's literally just like teams. And
Yeah,
like,
they've just released it. I got an email today about it, saying that it's going to be. Did you get that email?
I haven't looked. I mean, I've got about 10,000 emails to look through. So
Yeah, right, yeah. If anyone could have a conversation with Mr. Hosking about organisation, it's an absolute disgrace.
Oh dear.
But
yeah,
so they've got
like,
3 captains: Team Brandon, Team Lawson, and Team Vunga. Yeah, and then they're doing a draft next week, and then they'll each have a team of 6, comprising of 3 female and 3 male athletes.
fair enough. Do you think they do team workouts, or do you think it's still individual workouts?
They do a mix across the weekend,
right?
So okay. They'll be so it would be like, okay, this one's an individual one, but this one's a team one. This one's a team of 2. This one's a team of 4, etc., and you get points based on each one.
Fair enough.
So I think that'd be pretty cool.
Do you know what's it sounding a bit like? The CrossFit Invitational. Throwback.
Oh, I was going to say it sounded like
glory days.
It sounded like the Tahoe Throwdown.
No.
If they'd done this as like a brand affiliation, so you've got like Brandon leading team Rad, Lawson leading team whoever she's sponsored by, and Ella Vunga for some reason leading team whatever they are, then that I think would be from an activation standpoint, I think that'd be pretty cool. But what do I know?
That's what Waterpalooza's for. When they all come out on their teams.
Yeah, true.
Saying that, Rogue, literally look at that men's field. I think like the top heat at one point, like 9 out of 10 guys were all just wearing tier gear. Like they all just had the exact same brand on. Like Tier's literally, I don't know what their play is, but they're going big on the CrossFit scene at the moment, and then probably just transition to a real sport when they get enough interest. But
yeah, no, it's a way to test your. So the way that I see it, it's a way to test your product. So you come into the CrossFit market, it's relatively easy to establish like market dominance in there, because you can spend, in the grand scheme of things, very little amount of money, and it's got a decent reach. So you come in, you spend a load of money, get it on all the athletes, you get a huge amount of visibility around, you get the brand recognition up, and then you're able to sort of launch from there into general training, as opposed to just CrossFit specific. Because I think Nike's making enough money from Nike don't just sell Metcons to CrossFitters anymore. You get you look at the number of functional fitness spaces and all that, it's there. And if you're a relatively competent company that doesn't that is able to fulfill orders and has decent customer service, then you'll be all right. Excited to go to the tier CrossFit Games next year.
It's gonna happen. Cool. Anything else? That's pretty much it, I feel like.
Yeah, Sid Origins qualifiers are in.
Yeah.
So that's finally done.
Yeah. Well, the leaderboard for that only comes out in like 2 weeks or something, doesn't it?
Yeah. Because I was obviously tracking it for us, like relatively closely,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, still not been published yet. Um, but yeah, it was an interesting mix of events. There were some crazy good scores that went in, some crazy good scores for those, which is we'll probably run through when that leaderboard comes out. But yeah, that's it from a rogue perspective. Anyway,
Yeah. Lovely stuff. All right, we'll end it there. Probably do an episode about something the next few weeks. Don't know, maybe some off-brand topic. But yeah, thanks for listening. Goodbye.
bye bye.